Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
This evening, an investigation is unfolding in Hebron right now after state police say 2 people were found dead off a property at Route 66 early this morning. Thank you so much for streaming the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Annette Montgomery. Now, that discovery prompted a large response and raised questions for neighbors in the area. Fox 61's Aaron Coogan is live in the neighborhood with what investigators are sharing. Aaron.
Yeah, well, Annette, now entering 15 hours since initial calls were made for an early morning disturbance here on Main Street in Hebron. You can still see a couple of the police cruisers and the major crimes lab sitting outside what looks like a residential property. But as we've learned today, the records for this building actually listed it as an office building owned and operated by the same owners of the nearby restaurant, the Brick Cantina.
Just heartbreaking because they're such nice people. Everybody there is very friendly.
Yellow waving caution tape and a fleet of CSP patrol cars detoured Russ Poe from his weekly stop at the Brick Cantina.
Getting ready to turn right in there, and I saw the police car sitting there and just made a U-turn because I was picking up some beer tacos for another guy that works with us that's on his way, and can't believe it.
Horrified to hear just hours earlier, 2 people were found dead inside the adjoining property. It was just after 3:30 this morning. State police say they were called to Main Street for reports of a disturbance.
Troopers arrived on scene and created a perimeter around the residence. The state police tactical team was requested to assist.
Upon making forced entry, the gruesome discovery was made.
2 individuals were found deceased.
For several hours as investigation continued, the stretch of Route 66 fronting the building was closed to through traffic. Regional schools were canceled for the day, and out of an abundance of caution, Hebron Public Schools delayed their start time by 3 hours.
The call, I don't think either one is a wrong call. Caution is, I think, the primary, is the right decision.
Throughout the day, our cameras captured investigators outfitted in full protective coveralls make their way in and out of the property. As for what we know about the next door Brick Cantina, the local Mexican food spot opened less than a year ago in April of 2025. Hebron Town property records showed Dal Investments LLC as the owner of the entire lot, which includes Brick Cantina and the corner property currently under investigation. In a social media post, the restaurant released this statement that reads, quote, "We are absolutely devastated by the tragic incident that occurred in our community, which directly impacts our Brick Cantina family. The restaurant will be closed while law enforcement continues its work. Out of respect for privacy of the grieving families, we will not be providing any further details," end quote. As of now, state police have not released the identities of either of the individuals found inside of that home, nor the cause of death. But of course, as we learn more, we're going to have it on air and online at fox61.com. In Hebron, Aaron Coogan, Fox 61.
Thank you so much, Aaron. Well, Hartford police have now identified the man who was shot and killed last night on Albany Avenue. Officers say they found 49-year-old Colin Roberts unresponsive, and the Windsor man was pronounced dead at the scene. Right now, there's still no word on a shooter or what led to the shooting. This is now the 3rd shooting in the city since Monday and the 2nd deadly one. The state is now taking over Bickford Healthcare Center and Windsor Locks after a 93-year-old woman got out and was found unresponsive outside the facility. Now, that happened early last month. The Department of Social Services hired a temporary manager to oversee operations and move 48 people to other nursing homes. As a result, the Public Health Department says Bickford faces 14 violations tied to health and safety rules. On February 8th, video shows Margaret Healy left through an employee entrance. Police say staff later found her face down in the snow, and she was later pronounced dead. Well, switching gears to weather, it's fair to say March has given us a mix of everything from weather in the 70s one day to snow flurries the next. So meteorologist Sam Samperi is here with the first check of the forecast. Sam, what can we expect tonight and this weekend?
And just to think, it's the first half of March. Wait till the second half comes around.
Goodness.
By the way, this is the anniversary of the storm of the century and the great blizzard of 1993. It even clobbered Georgia, Florida, all the way up the East Coast. We escaped We only got 15 to 20 inches here. People out in Pennsylvania, 35 to 40 inches. The thing about that storm, it moved, but it covered such a big area, and the barometric pressure, we're setting record lows, like hurricane force type barometric pressure. So that's one for the record books. Blizzard of 1993 back on this day in March. So March is always known for some wild weather, and we're going to get some wild weather coming up in the next few days. Our weekend looks okay. Tomorrow, what I mean by wild is windy conditions with temperatures in the 40s, and Sunday less wind. Looks like it's snowing, but it's not. It's been snowing in the clouds the last couple of hours in Alberta Clipper. That's going to just give us a couple of scattered showers. Visibility is fine, and we got the wind out of the south at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures right now are averaging into the 30s across the area, up near and below freezing in some of those colder towns. And again, the next 12 hours, maybe a shower, but that's about it. We'll wake up tomorrow morning, and tomorrow it is going to be a windy day in the 40s. We'll talk about how strong the winds will get, and we'll talk about an impact alert for Monday. Details coming up in a few minutes. Annette?
A tragic case involving the death of an 11-year-old girl is still in its early stages in court, and today the victim's mother and aunt appeared before a judge. Now, this all comes as attorneys continue combing through a large amount of evidence tied to the investigation. Fox 61's Jamel Johnson explains where the case stands today.
The hearings for both Carla and Jacqueline Garcia were brief, with both sides saying there's a lot of evidence to go over before the case moves forward. However, we did speak with Jacqueline's attorney, Jonas Colodis, who dove a little bit deeper into what specific evidence they are looking over. Jacqueline Garcia was present for her hearing while her sister Carla Garcia was not. Jacqueline's attorney, Jonas Colodis, says the case is still in the discovery phase.
As you saw, it was a very brief court appearance. There really isn't much to report. We're still reviewing discovery in the case. There's a lot of discovery that's being provided to us. It's in all shapes and sizes. And as we get it, we have to review it, and then we have to review it with her, and then we're still kind of sorting out exactly what happened.
Colodis said he didn't want to get too in-depth about the evidence their side is looking over, but did mention some of the aspects that may prove vital in court.
In a case like this, there's a very extensive investigation that was done, and we are being provided body cams, medical reports, DNA reports, police reports. It's ongoing. They're continuing to provide it to us. So as they provide it to us, we have to review it, get through it, and then at some point we could sit down with the state and attempt to see if there's a resolution.
11-year-old Mimi's remains were found last October inside a plastic storage tote behind an empty home in New Britain. The state medical examiner ruled her death a homicide, saying she died from fatal child abuse with starvation. Police say Mimi had been dead since September of 2024. Carla Garcia, her boyfriend at the time, Jonathan Nanita, and Jacqueline Garcia all faced charges connected to the child's death. Nanita pleaded not guilty to his charges a few days before the Garcias were in court. A pretrial hearing for him is scheduled for May 19th. He also faces additional charges in relation to disposal of the body. According to Colodis, it may take a while until more substantial information is shared at future hearings.
As of right now, I would expect a similar type situation. Obviously, we'll have moved ahead with the review of the discovery, and hopefully we'll be in a better position to keep the case moving along. As far as her position and her culpability, I think at the appropriate time that's going to come out.
Both women are expected back in court on May 8th. In Torrington, Jamel Johnson, Fox 61.
Thank you, Jamel. Well, a lawsuit claims Bridgeport Hospital staff was negligent in their care of a 26-year-old man, and that negligence led to his death. Court documents say Connor Hilton was admitted in August of 2024 with pancreatitis and alcohol withdrawal. They say he was later moved to the ICU. The complaint says that he went hours before being examined by a physician. Staff failed to properly monitor his condition, and communication between providers was poor. Early the next morning, Hilton was found unresponsive, suffered seizure-like activity, and then later died. His estate claims these failures directly caused his death and is now seeking damages from Bridgeport Hospital, Yale New Hospital, and Northeast Medical Group. A Marlboro nursing home staff member is accused of hitting a dementia patient twice in the head. Charles Newton of Hartford is now charged with assault of the elderly. State police say it happened last night at the Marlboro Health and Rehab. They say this was all caught on video. Investigators haven't released the condition of the patient, but Newton is expected in court later this month. Well, a minor was arrested after what police called a reckless motorcycle incident in Willimantic. Police say on Wednesday, officers tried to conduct a traffic stop on a group of people on motorcycles. They say one of the riders, who was a minor, tried to get away, causing an officer to jump out of the way to avoid being hit. That rider then crashed into a car and was taken into custody. A BB gun disguised as a real gun was also found on that minor. They're now facing charges, including attempted assault on an officer. Well, police in West Haven say they found stolen catalytic converters after a brief chase early this morning. Officers tell us they were called around 12:45 about someone tampering with the car. They say when they got there, they saw a stolen SUV out of New Jersey. Police tell us they tried to pull it over, but it sped off. State troopers later found that SUV after it crashed on I-95. They say they discovered multiple stolen car parts. Now, two New York men, Jeffrey Jimenez and Juan Carlos Castillo, now face charges. Well, the number of U.S. military deaths as part of Operation Epic Fury has now reached 13 after a refueling plane crashed in Iraq. Now, with the war nearing its 2-week mark, more U.S. troops are now headed to the region. Rebecca Castor has the latest.
While thousands of regime supporters gather in the streets of Tehran Friday, signs of war are close by.
Today will be, yet again, the highest volume of strikes that America has put over the skies of Iran.
13 days into the mission, the Pentagon says Iran has no Navy, no Air Force, and its ability to respond with drones and missiles is down 90%. Now, U.S. forces are targeting Iran's defense companies that manufacture the regime's weapons.
We're targeting their defense industrial base so they cannot rebuild the capabilities that can harm America's interests.
The Pentagon is also sending additional troops and warships to the region. The USS Tripoli and the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, about 5,000 Marines and sailors total. This will give President Trump more options, especially while the Iranians continue to attack cargo ships in the Strait of Hormuz to block the flow of oil.
They want that focus on the Straits of Hormuz to put max pressure on the United States, so that becomes the pacing item for the war, not the achieving of our military objectives.
Some Democrats fear the administration is planning to send ground troops into Iran. But in a radio interview Friday, President Trump shot down reports that he's planning to send special forces in to get Iran's remaining uranium.
No, not at all, and we're not focused on that, but at some point we might be. Right now we're focused on knocking the hell out of their missiles and their drones.
President Trump also says right now the U.S. is playing nice and could hit Iran harder by targeting its power plants, but he's choosing not to. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox 61.